This is the life story of Charlotte Thompson Reid, a longtime resident of Aurora, Illinois, who is remembered with affection for the integrity and grace with which she lived her life. Charlotte was born in Kankakee, Illinois, to Edward and Ethel Thompson. She was the Thompsons' only child. Her father worked for the Burlington, and her mother was a homemaker. Charlotte was a 1930 graduate of East Aurora High School, where she was on the honor roll and high honor roll. She also was a member of the Student Council, Girls Club, Latin Club, YWCA's Silver Triangle, and the school's newspaper, The Auroran. Charlotte attended Illinois College in Jacksonville and also studied music with Louise Gilbert in Chicago. In 1936, she became a featured vocalist for the nationally syndicated radio program called the Don McNeil Breakfast Club, where she performed under the professional name of Annette King. In 1938, Charlotte married Frank R. Reid, Jr., an Aurora attorney and the first secretary of the Aurora Foundation, which now is called the Community Foundation of the Fox River Valley. Charlotte and Frank had 4 children: Patricia, Frank, Edward, or Tommy as he was called, and Susan. Tommy passed away in 1998, and Frank passed away in 2009. Patricia was an attorney who practiced in the Aurora area and then became a state representative. Susan, who lives in Hawaii, also became an attorney and now works for hospice. After raising her family, Charlotte took to the campaign trail to help her husband win the Republican primary for United States Congress in 1962. When Frank died suddenly before the general election, Charlotte was chosen to run in his place. She won the election and was re-elected for 4 additional terms. While in Congress, Charlotte served on the Appropriations Committee, Interior and Insular Affairs Committee, Public Works Committee, House Republican Policy Committee, and Standards of Office and Conduct Committee. And in 1964 and 1968, she addressed the Republican National Convention. In the middle of her 5th term, Charlotte was appointed by President Richard M. Nixon to the Federal Communications Commission, where she served until 1976. She was the only woman on the FCC at that time. Her son Tommy held the Bible during the swearing-in ceremony, which was overseen by President Nixon. On the lighter side, she also may have been the first woman to wear a pantsuit on the floor of Congress when an unexpected vote was called. As she remembered, former President Gerald R. Ford, who was the minority leader for the House Republicans at the time, was surprised at her attire, but he quickly composed himself and expressed his approval. While serving in Congress, Charlotte became a valued colleague of many of our country's leaders, including President Dwight D. Eisenhower and President Richard M. Nixon. While on a fact-finding trip to Vietnam, she conferred with General William C. Westmoreland. During the trip, she also met with local servicemen and was able to bring personal messages home to their loved ones. Charlotte served on several corporate boards. She also was appointed by President Ronald W. Reagan to serve on the Presidential Task Force on International Private Enterprise from 1985 to 1987. Yet, in spite of her success, Charlotte never forgot her roots, returning often to attend local events and celebrations. She was a proud member of the East Aurora High School class of 1930 and joined her classmates when they gathered for reunions. Charlotte enjoyed and treasured her time with family and friends. She received honorary degrees from John Marshall School of Law in Chicago and Aurora University. Her first grandchild, Tom, and her first great-grandchild, Aaron, posed with Charlotte and Nancy Smith Hopp, who is Tom's mother. Charlotte was devoted to all of her children and grandchildren and found special ways to celebrate each of their lives. In 2001, she was interviewed by Jay Harriman on Aurora's local television station. Her observations and recollections serve as important reflections on her life, including her time as a vocalist on the Don McNeil Breakfast Club.
Casino of the New Morrison Hotel in Chicago, Bobby, the easy new pin curl home permanent for a soft and casual wave, and White Rain, the wonderful new lotion shampoo that leaves your hair sunshine bright. Invite your family to join the millions of families from coast to coast and listen to America's favorite, Don McNeil and his Breakfast Club. And here is your Toastmaster, Don McNeil. Good morning, Breakfast Clubbers. Morning to ya. We woke up bright and early. Just a howdy do ya. It's Bobby's call to breakfast. For all of you out there, America right the Breakfast Club is on the air.
And our special person today is Charlotte T. Reid, also known as Annette King.
A long time ago.
A long time ago. So tell us how you became Congresswoman from this district.
My husband had been very much involved in politics, and as I said, his father had been a member of Congress for 12 years. So I think he always had it in the back of his mind to run for Congress. And when the time was right, the Noah Mason, who was the incumbent from LaSalle County, retired. 8 men ran for the primary, and it was a hard-fought primary, and my husband won. And I was very much involved with his campaign. I went with him every day, from the factory gates in the morning, to the coffees, to the luncheons, the meetings at night. And when there were conflicting meetings, he would go to one and I to another. So I was very much involved. Then he won the primary that was in April in 1962. And then, unfortunately, died August 25th of that year of a heart attack. And I had never had any thought of being involved in politics, being a candidate myself. But the 5 county chairmen were the ones who selected the person to run, and there was a lot of controversy at the time about who should run, but they did choose me. At first I thought no, but then I really realized I had to do something with my life, and I talked with my children. They urged me to run, and I did. And then I went back. I felt people should see me as a candidate, so I went back, retraced our steps, went all through the counties. I had 2 months, had a lot of help from family and friends, and we just had a whirlwind campaign, and I did win.
How did it feel? Here you are, now you're elected representative, Congresswoman from Illinois. How does it feel to go in and sit down and take your chair?
It was almost overwhelming, really. The first day, when I was sworn in that first day, my children were in the balcony, and it was to think of the history of this room and all that had transpired there. It's just awe-inspiring, really, and I never lost that. And particularly walking from my office to the Capitol, and when we'd be in session at night and seeing the flag flying over the Capitol, I never ceased to feel it.
I could understand going there and saying, I'm a part of this history, this huge chain of things, and that sort of
also
stuff.
the feeling of responsibility that you have for the people in your district. And you want to do the best you can every day.
Charlotte Reid became a local icon, opening up opportunities that continue to benefit women of today. but her achievements were always taken in stride and gracefully acknowledged. Her daughter, attorney Patricia Lindner, learned well from her mother. She served in the Illinois House of Representatives from 1993 until 2009, devoting 16 years of her life to the citizens of the 50th District. Charlotte Reid died in her hometown of Aurora in 2007. At that time, her family created a scholarship fund within the Community Foundation as a permanent remembrance of her rich and rewarding life. It is fitting that Charlotte's scholarship within the Community Foundation is designated for students who are entering the field of music. Her career in music provided the perfect platform for developing the skills and confidence required for public service. It was music that connected her to the thousands of listeners who admired her for her talent and grace. But most of all, it was music that gave her an understanding heart, which she brought to the personal and professional relationships she was destined to form throughout her lifetime. We conclude our tribute to Charlotte Reid with her reading of I Am the Nation. Everett Dirksen, who represented the state of Illinois in both the United States House of Representatives and United States Senate, introduced Charlotte to the audience.
Women are among our finest and most effective lawmakers. They represent great ideals.
I was born on July 4th, 1776, in Philadelphia. My birth certificate is the Declaration of Independence. The bloodlines of the world run in my veins because I offered freedom to the oppressed. I am many things and many people. I am Nathan Hale and Paul Revere. I stood at Lexington and Concord Bridge and fired the shot heard around the world. I am George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Abraham Lincoln. I rode in covered wagons across the dusty plains with the courageous pioneers to establish new frontiers with blood and sweat, inspired by a thing called freedom. Whenever freedom called and the dignity of man was threatened by tyrants, I answered and stayed until it was over there. I left my heroic dead in Flanders Field, on the rock of Corregidor, on the bleak slopes of Korea, and in the steaming jungles of Vietnam. I am big. I sprawl from the Atlantic to the Pacific. I am 3 million square miles throbbing with industry and more than 5 million farms. I am mountain and desert and quiet villages and cities that never sleep. You can see the lights on Christmas and hear the strains of Auld Lang Syne as the calendar turns. My anatomy includes 130,000 schools and colleges and 320,000 churches where my people worship God as they think best. I am a ballot dropped in a box on election day and the voice of a choir in a cathedral. I am a letter to a congressman and an editorial in a newspaper. Yes, I am the nation, and these are the things I am. I was conceived in freedom, and God willing, in freedom will spend the rest of my days. May I possess always the integrity, the courage, and the strength to keep myself unshackled, to remain a citadel of freedom and a beacon of hope to the world. This is my wish, my goal, and my prayer.